you. Can you believe it's already almost the middle of February? Even before COVID was crazy, I felt like January was 2 years. February was kind of like a normal speed, and then March, like everything shut down. But we're already in the middle of February. I think that's crazy. So, welcome. Hello. It is Tuesday. I am glad that you are here. Say hi when you're logging on because I never know who's here and who's not. If you don't say hi until later. If you're watching this in replay, hashtag replay, and again, engage along the way. I really enjoy that engagement. So, throw one thing in the comments that was a highlight from your weekend. Hello, Dawn. How are you? Good, 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 good. So, throw one highlight in the comments from your weekend. I have to say, for me, it's been solitude. My husband's working 5 straight days. Today's his 5th day, so he's been gone Friday through today, Tuesday. And it's just been quiet. I've gotten so much work done. I've gotten some coloring done. Hi, Chris. How are you? And so for me, just the solitude is pleasant. So, what's it called? Tell me a highlight from your weekend. So this week we're starting a self-forgiveness series. This is not new. The concept is not new to those of you who've been around for a minute. For those of you who are new, you're thinking, let me maybe hear what this is about. I'm not quite sure. So we're going to go through the process, but we're going to we're going to go through self-forgiveness, the act of self-forgiveness, but we're actually going to not go through it in kind of what you would think would be a. So, your youngest birthday, fun. That's definitely fun. I don't have Lily on Mondays anymore because she started preschool. So my solitude went into quite a few days, and it was neat. So I saw my 1-year-old niece this weekend. She's born 10 weeks early, and she's such a blessing. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So I bet she is just kind of starting to kind of catch up to where she should be. Usually, preemies, by the time they're 2, they've caught up to where they would have been if they had been born around their due date. So that's really neat to see. So fantastic. I'm having Lily withdrawal in almost a week. I will survive. And that chunk of a grandson, he is 6 weeks old and he has gained 5 pounds in those 6 weeks. He's a chunk. Okay, anyhow. So if you've not been here before, as we've talked about this, stay tuned. Like I said, we're going to be talking about it kind of not in the order you would think. Like you would think, let's talk about how you do it, then why you should do it, and so forth. But we're breaking it up a little bit differently, and here's why. To know why you should do it before you do it. I want you to know why. I spend so much time talking about how important why is, and I want you to know why. So that's what we're going to actually focus on today. So today we're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about the value of self-forgiveness. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the process. So I will actually walk you through how to forgive yourself. And then on Thursday, on day 3, we are going to talk about the freedom, like just the absolute freedom that we're going to start to touch on today. We're really going to dig into on Thursday. So hang tight. This is going to be a good bit of information. Lily loved preschool. Thank you for asking, Dawn. She loved it, which is no doubt because she is such a social person. So we knew she would love it. And it's good for mama too. Okay. So big surprise, straight off my notes. And so I've got to catch myself up here. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of self in this live. I don't want you to feel like we're going into this new age promoting self, this concept of self-love and like you should put yourself before others, and that's not where we're going. So as I talk about self, I don't want you to connect it to this new age self. I just want you to connect it to you, yourself. You as self cannot be one with the universe. It's there's no realism there, right? If I burst your bubble here and said that, this is probably not the group for you because I will never, ever acknowledge that to be any kind of truth. This is more of a self-recognition for the sake of healing your mind, healing your relationships, healing your actions, your choices, your thoughts, for the sake of yourself and others. So that's the self that we're talking about. So like I said, no worldly self-love here, just the love of self as a creation of God who made us for his purpose. But you can't be part of that purpose when you have these mental blocks. And that's what self-forgiveness is. Self-forgiveness is a mental block. Maybe you've already recognized that. So like maybe you have realized this already. Are there things in your life like you just feel like you can't get past? Things you did in the past, maybe things you're doing right now, right? Is there a block there? Is there something that's just you're fighting internally and like nobody else in the world may even know what's going on? Okay. Drop a 1 in the comments if you have held too tightly onto something that you just need to let go of. I'm not doing comments, but I will tell you 1. All right. It is so hard to recognize and then follow through, right? What we should let go of. And we feel so guilty. We feel so self-loathing about ourselves that we feel like we deserve those feelings. And that's what we're going to work through today as far as the value of self-forgiveness. So, okay, so like I said, drop a 1 if you in your life have held on to something too tightly that you did that you just need to let go of. 49 years old, I could probably drop 15 ones, honestly, over the course of my life. So we're not going to go into the process of self-forgiveness like I talked about that. That's going to be tomorrow. We really want to dig into the values. So the reasons you should so desperately want to do this. Okay. The first reason, the first value, the first benefit of self-forgiveness is clarity. See, when we don't forgive ourselves, right, the act actually becomes something more than it ever was. Like when we build it up in our minds to be such a horrible event that when we're not forgiving ourselves, we're making it more and more and more horrible, right? We build upon that negativity that exists in the event in our heads so much deeper than it really is. So like everything else in life, right? If you don't deal with it, it grows. Okay. And so that's what this is too. The cloudiness of what the true nature is grows when you don't deal with it. So you actually create clarity when you forgive yourself. We actually let the issue, like I said, we let it be bigger, but with clarity, we can see what it really is. So by practicing self-forgiveness, we have clarity. We can see what the real issue is. We can see the good and the bad of it all. We see differently. Plain and simple. When we practice self-forgiveness, we see differently. We're not blocked to the truth. And with that, we're able to move forward and not be self-destructive, and we're able to give ourselves compassion. You can drop a raised hand if you've been self-destructive. You see my hand is up. If you've been self-destructive by not forgiving yourself for something. I know everybody can drop a raised hand because the truth of the matter is we have all been there. We have all done this. There is not one person who has not been in this place. And if they say they're not, well, then they are. They're just not practicing it. They are in that bigger issue, big cloud space because none of us are perfect, right? We have all done things. That's just the way it is. So you can drop a raised hand. Like I said, if you have if you have self-destructive behaviors when you don't have clarity. Okay, hopefully when you have clarity. You can see my shadow in the light. Sorry about that, guys. Is that better? Maybe that's better and I don't need that other light. It's really overcast here today, so all the natural light is kind of making it more difficult, but I don't feel like I have shadows on my face anymore. So okay, so drop a 2 if you have experienced the clarity after letting go and forgiving yourself. Okay, so drop a 2 if you've done that. The truth of the matter is that clarity, like when you can see the picture as a whole, when you can strip away those internal lies, what's it called, that come and build and build and build upon each other, when you've got this, like I'm just going to put this as an example of a rock, right? This lack of self-forgiveness that sits inside you, right? That it builds and builds and builds the clouds of lies on top of one another. And it's not that you are lying, it's now you are actually internally lying to yourself, subconsciously, absolutely subconsciously. Two on some things, but not all things. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Okay, very good. How did it feel? How did it feel to all of a sudden have that clarity? Raising all the hands. I love it. How did it feel to actually have that clarity? That's what I want. If you're comfortable enough sharing. I know for me, it felt like freedom. Like oh my gosh, I thought this, and I realized that it really was just this, right? But in my head, it became this. What's it called? And there became freedom with that, absolute freedom. So when you are practicing, when you like have that clarity, then you are able to give yourself over to compassion. And that's the second thing we're going to talk about today is compassion. So what does compassion feel like? Right? When you give it to others, when they give it to you, what is it exactly? So this is what compassion is. Compassion is a sympathetic awareness of distress packaged with a desire to alleviate it. Okay, those were a lot of words, right? Peaceful, yes, Chris, yes. Freeing, yep, exactly. Okay, so again, I'm going to repeat that. Sympathetic awareness of distress packaged with a desire to alleviate it. So that is what compassion is. You have, like when you have compassion on others, you have a sympathetic awareness of distress, of what is going on in their life. Maybe it's a loss, maybe it's an illness, right? Those are things we're compassionate about. Maybe, I don't know, you can think of a whole bunch of things people could feel compassionate about. But they have a sympathetic awareness of the stress, the distress, the things going on in their life. And with that sympathetic awareness, right, if you just stop there, that's actually more lines of empathy. But compassion has that sympathetic awareness packaged with a desire to fix it, with a desire to alleviate their pain, with a desire to help them in some capacity. Okay, so that's what compassion is, right? It's having an awareness, a sympathetic awareness of what they're going through and wanting to help them and fix them in that fix the situation in that process. So that's what compassion is. Yet, we don't want to do that for ourselves. We don't want to practice that on ourselves. We don't want to have an awareness of what's stressing us because we've caused the stress, right? And then we don't want to have a desire to alleviate it because we feel like we deserved it and we earned it and we shouldn't be fixed. We shouldn't be helped. Those are the things that we actually feel when we're fighting this forgiveness. When you see others suffering, right, you have compassion, yet we're so hard on ourselves and we don't offer compassion to ourselves, right? When we have clarity, then we have a sympathetic awareness of our situation as a whole. We understand what happened, who is connected, all the emotions with it, and then we have the desire to alleviate those feelings of the distress. And when we practice compassion, well, now we move into grace. That's going to be the next thing we talk about. So drop a 3 in the comments if you've had compassion on yourself and let something go that was difficult and burdening for you. Are those brain explosions? I love it. I love it. I have those conversations with people, but I can't say anyone's ever given me a brain explosion. Well, maybe Rochelle has in the comments. But that's the truth of the matter is, right? We don't have compassion on ourselves. We are so hard on ourselves. So, like I said, drop a 3 if you have experienced compassion on yourself. If you've given yourself a break, a mental break, been like, oh, man, you just recognizing, I want to fix this. I don't want this to stay this way. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to be so hard on myself. I want to fix this, right? And you want to do it for those around you as well as for you. I know you have, Chris. I know you have. So excellent. Okay, so let's talk about grace. Yes, grace. We can actually give ourselves grace. That's what we're going to get to. So Jesus already poured grace on us. We didn't deserve it, but he did it anyway. And with self-forgiveness, you are pouring grace on yourself. So we've already got the forgiveness of Christ. It's already done, right? So if he forgave us, and we certainly have wronged him much more than we've ever wronged anybody else, if he forgave us, why should we not forgive ourselves? right? We're telling him he's wrong to forgive us if we can't forgive ourselves. And well, we know that's not true. But that's what we're doing. We're fighting against that. Jesus already poured grace on us. We didn't deserve it, but he did it. And with self-forgiveness, that's what you're doing. You're pouring the grace on yourself. The situation may have felt unforgivable, but with grace. That's what I want you to remember. Like, write that somewhere, but with grace. That there's my brain explosion. And I wrote this. But with grace, everything is possible in your life but with grace. But with grace, not because of us, but with grace. Okay, that just caught me there. Sorry. But with grace, undeserved forgiveness, right? All is forgivable because of Jesus, not because of us. And when we desire to be like him, when we fall short, we must practice the grace he already provided. He poured out grace because he loves us. Okay. I'm like, so why are we sitting here like not forgiving ourselves? It's like we already have permission from God, right? To move over. He's already given the ultimate sacrifice, so we don't have to sit in these places, so that we don't have to have these mental blocks that prevent us from doing his works, his goodness, from living life, right? So drop a 4 if you've practiced grace with yourself. I'm on the process of working on myself with compassion. Excellent. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Drop a 4 if you have ever practiced grace with yourself, giving yourself permission to let go what you think no one could ever let go of. That was the hardest thing. Like I could work through 1 and 2, like I could work through the clarity, the compassion, but giving myself grace, even like still now, right? It's hard to just say, okay, and let it go. Like forgiveness has already been given. I do not have to stay in this place. I don't have to. Man, we fight that because we feel like, but this is what we deserve. This is our punishment, right? If we had only not hurt somebody, if we had only not done this or done that, right? We deserve to sit in this misery. God's already taken care of it. Yes, that might be what we deserve. Might be. We have grace poured all over us. That is not where we are supposed to stay. We are supposed to forgive ourselves and move forward. And you know what? Jesus talks about how many times we should forgive others, well, ourselves too, 70 times 7. And I have probably exceeded that and am moving into 70 times 70 times 70 or something. Right? That's just the truth of the matter. Do you see the little smoke? Like brain explosions coming out my head. My diffuser's right behind my head. I just looked up and there's smoke. So anyhow, that's what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to pour grace upon ourselves because God the Father has already poured grace all over us. For practice, but not perfect. Yeah, that's where we're going to be. But then this takes us into this next part, right? He poured out grace because he loves us. And this last thing I'm going to talk about, the value of the act of self-forgiveness, is love. And it's that love he provides is that driving force to do all the things for his glory. So we want to practice this for his glory, right? And that includes loving ourselves, right? Bothering with yourself. I'm not speaking in contradiction to the Bible. I would never do that. We are to love God, then love others. We are to put others before ourselves, right? We are hate ourselves and die to him. Those are his words. Those are all truths. So when I'm talking about loving ourselves, I'm not contradicting and like, oh, we should love ourselves first, and then, then we can find room for God and others. No. God, others, okay? But this all begins with the act of love. The love God had when he sacrificed his son. The love we have for him when we surrender. The love for the creations he made and the purpose he has and the good he can do. Okay? That's what we're supposed to love about ourselves, is we are his creation. Okay? He has a purpose for us and he through us. That's what we're supposed to love about ourselves. It's really about God's work. It's not about us at all. But, okay, I'll find my little notes here. When we are blocked and we don't forgive ourselves, when we continue to beat ourselves up daily, we are blocking the fruit of that love of God, okay? We are blocking God from his relationship with us because we put up walls with him, and we are hindering the works to God, right? The works for God and his plans for us. He doesn't need us. He can do anything without us, but he chooses us to show his glory. Okay? That's why we should love ourselves. And that's why we should practice self forgiveness, is because we are hindering ourselves from being used by God, because we are blocking our relationship with God, because we are not free. We've not surrendered. And that's what the love is that I'm talking about. So, again, about this, oh, I'm so wonderful type of love. I am talking about loving the fact that God created you. You are God's creation, and therefore honoring that with him, honoring that in your relationship. So that's what you're talking about by love. So drop a 5 in the comments if you are ready for this type of love of creation that God has made because he has a plan for you and a purpose for you, not love of self because you're great and you know it. Okay, so drop a 5 if you understand, like, that is about the love of yourself as God's creation. So it's really about the love of God, the devotion to God. Okay, but that's what you have once you've practiced grace for yourselves. You are free to, like, act in that love, because that's what you've actually demonstrated by practicing self-forgiveness, is love. The value of that is amazing, absolutely amazing. And again, so freeing. And those are the things we're going to talk about. We opened the door to our conversation in the 3rd video. That's what we're really going to dig into, is the freedom. So we'll come back to some of these comments along the way, some of these ideas. But the benefits, the value of self-forgiveness is clarity, compassion, grace, and love. See, all of this gives us the freedom in Christ, and we are not holding on to anything or allowing us to be separated from him. That's what this act is about. It's about diminishing the separation that we've created, because when we are building those blocks, building those mental blocks, right, that's what we're doing. We're separating ourselves from God. So we are going to dig into that and the freedom in the 3rd video. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to discuss the process of self-forgiveness and dig into that. It's a powerful, powerful thing. If you can practice self-forgiveness, you are going to see freedom in a whole new level, because you are literally cutting, binding you down, and then are holding you back. You are breaking chains that we put on ourselves. Okay, that's what we're doing by breaking that and practicing self-forgiveness. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Like I said, tomorrow we are going to be digging into the process, how to actually forgive yourself. You're not going to hear too many surprises other than do it, right? It's going to make you think and make you put forth the effort into doing that. I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow.